The message came through the deep space radio on a Tuesday morning, crackling with static and desperation. Dr. Sarah Chun nearly spilled her coffee when she heard it. This is Zephyr Colony? Anyone, please help us." Sarah's hands flew across the keyboard, trying to clean up the signal. She worked at the Deep Space Communication Center in Nevada, where her job was to listen for signals from human colonies scattered across the galaxy. But this signal was different. It wasn't coming from any human colony she knew about. The voice continued, broken and afraid. "We are peaceful beings. The Kruleks have found us. They are coming. We cannot fight. Please." Sarah's heart pounded. This was first contact. Real aliens were calling for help. She grabbed her phone and called her supervisor, Dr. Marcus Webb. "Marcus, you need to get down here right now," she said, her voice shaking. "We're receiving a distress call from aliens." 20 minutes later, the communication center buzzed with activity. Military officials, scientists, and government agents crowded around Sarah's workstation. The alien message kept repeating every few minutes. "We are the Zephyrians," the voice said. "Our world is peaceful. We have no weapons. The Kruleks Empire has declared war on us. They will arrive in 7 of your Earth days. We beg anyone who can hear this, please help us. We will share our knowledge of medicine and technology. We only want to live in peace." General Patricia Hayes, head of Earth Space Defense Force, stepped forward. She was a tough woman with gray hair and steel in her eyes. "Can we trace where this signal is coming from?" Sarah nodded, pointing to her screen. "It's coming from the Kepler 442 system. That's about 1,200 light-years away. But the signal is being boosted by some kind of quantum relay. Very advanced technology." "What do we know about these Kruleks?" asked Dr. Webb. Sarah had been researching frantically. "Nothing good. From what I can piece together from the aliens' messages, the Kruleks are a warrior race that conquers peaceful worlds. They seem to destroy anyone who won't serve them." General Hayes looked grim. "How many ships do we have that can make the jump to Kepler 442? "About 50 of our newest warp-capable vessels," replied Colonel James Rodriguez, the general's aide. "But it would take us 6 days to get there, even at maximum warp." "That gives us 1 day to prepare for battle," the general said. "Not much time." Dr. Webb looked worried. "General, we don't know what we're flying into. These Kruleks might have weapons we've never seen before." General Hayes smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant smile. "Doctor, I don't think these aliens understand what they've done. They've asked Earth for help. We're not known for backing down from a fight." 3 days later, the Earth fleet was halfway to Kepler 442. General Hayes stood on the bridge of the ESV Thunderstrike, the flagship of the rescue mission. She watched the stars streak past and thought about what they were flying toward. Humans had been exploring space for 200 years now. They had colonies on dozens of worlds and had met several alien species. But there was something most aliens didn't understand about humans. Earth was what galactic scientists called a death world. Most planets that supported life were gentle places. Stable weather, few natural disasters, and evolution that favored cooperation over conflict. Earth was different. Earth was violent. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, ice ages, meteor impacts. Earth had thrown everything at humans for millions of years. It had made them tough. Tougher than most aliens could imagine. Captain Lisa Park, the ship's pilot, approached the general. "Ma'am, we're receiving another transmission from the Zephyrians." The message played through the ship's speakers. The alien voice sounded even more desperate now. "Please, anyone who received our message. The Kruleks fleet has been spotted. They will be here in 4 days. We have evacuated our cities, but there is nowhere to run. Our planet is all we have. If you are coming to help us, please hurry." General Hayes grabbed the communication device. "This is General Patricia Hayes of the Earth Space Defense Force. We received your distress call. Hold on. We're coming." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice came back, filled with hope. You are really coming? How many ships do you have?" 50 combat vessels," Hayes replied. Another pause. The alien sounded confused. Only 50? The Kruleks are sending 300 ships. Are you sure you can help us? Hayes looked around the bridge. Her crew was smiling. They knew something the aliens didn't. Trust me, she said. 50 will be enough. The Earth fleet arrived at Kepler 442 exactly 6 days after receiving the distress call. The planet was beautiful green continents, blue oceans, and white clouds. It looked peaceful, just like the aliens had said. General Hayes ordered the fleet to take position around the planet. Then she took a shuttle down to the surface to meet the Zephyrians. The aliens were waiting at their main spaceport. General Hayes was surprised by how they looked. They were tall and thin, with silver skin and large, gentle eyes. They moved gracefully, almost like dancers. Their leader introduced himself as Zenkaler, the prime harmonizer of Zephyr. He looked at Hayes with wonder. "You are human," he said, his voice musical. "We have heard stories about your species. They say you come from a death world." Hayes nodded. "That's right, and you're about to learn what that means." Zenkaler led her to their command center. The room was filled with soft, glowing panels and peaceful music. Everything was designed for harmony and comfort. "We have been monitoring the Kruleks fleet," Zenkaler said. "They have 300 warships. Each one is twice the size of your vessels. General Hayes, we are grateful that you came, but I fear you do not understand what you face." Hayes looked at the display showing the approaching Kruleks fleet. The ships were massive, dark, and covered in weapons. They looked like flying fortresses. "Tell me about the Kruleks," she said. Zenkaler's large eyes filled with fear. "They are a warrior race from the Andromeda galaxy. They conquer peaceful worlds and take everything: resources, technology, and people as slaves. They have destroyed 17 civilizations that we know of. How do they usually attack? They demand surrender first. If a planet refuses, they destroy all major cities from orbit. Then they land troops to hunt down survivors." Hayes studied the tactical display. "Have any worlds ever fought back successfully? A few have tried. The Kruleks always win. They are too strong, too many." Zenkaler looked at her sadly. "I fear we have doomed you by asking for help." Hayes smiled. "You haven't doomed us. You've given us a chance to do what humans do best." "What is that?" "Fight." The Kruleks fleet arrived exactly when the Zephyrians predicted. 300 dark ships dropped out of hyperspace and formed a battle line near the planet's moon. General Hayes watched from the bridge of the Thunderstrike. The Earth fleet was hidden behind the planet, using its mass to mask their heat signatures. The Kruleks sent their usual message: "Primitive inhabitants of this world, we are the Kruleks Empire. You will surrender immediately and prepare for occupation. Any resistance will result in the complete destruction of your civilization." Hayes opened a channel to the Kruleks fleet. "This is General Patricia Hayes of the Earth Space Defense Force. The Zephyrians are under our protection. Leave this system immediately." The response came quickly, filled with amusement. "Humans, we have heard of your small empire. You have 50 ships. We have 300. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." Hayes looked at her crew. They were all grinning. "I have a counteroffer," she said. "Leave now, and we'll let you live." The Kruleks commander laughed. "You will regret your arrogance. Begin the attack." The Kruleks fleet moved toward the planet, their weapons charging. They expected the humans to come out fighting in a traditional space battle. Instead, the humans disappeared. "Where did they go?" the Kruleks commander demanded. His sensors officer looked confused. "I don't know, sir. They were there a moment ago, and now, nothing." What the Kruleks didn't know was that humans had learned a thing or two about warfare from their death world. They had learned to be sneaky, to use the environment, and to strike from unexpected angles. The Earth ships had activated their stealth systems and were now moving through the asteroid belt that ringed the planet. They were hunting. The first Kruleks ship to die never saw it coming. The ESV Shadowhawk appeared out of nowhere, fired a full spread of plasma torpedoes, and vanished back into the asteroid field. The massive Kruleks warship exploded in a ball of fire. "What was that?" the Kruleks commander shouted. Before anyone could answer, 3 more Krulek ships exploded. The humans were using hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and disappearing before the Kruleks could return fire. "Find them," the commander ordered. "All ships, spread out and search." But the humans weren't done. They had learned from Earth's predators, sharks, wolves, and big cats. They hunted in packs, isolated their prey, and struck with overwhelming force. 20 Earth ships suddenly appeared above the Krulek's fleet and opened fire. While the Kruleks turned to fight them, another group of human ships attacked from below. The Kruleks found themselves caught in a crossfire. "Impossible!" the Krulek's commander screamed as his ships took heavy damage. "They're too small. Their weapons shouldn't be able to penetrate our armor." What he didn't understand was that humans had learned to be efficient killers. Their weapons were designed to find weak spots and exploit them. Every shot was precisely aimed at critical systems. In the first hour of battle, the humans destroyed 50 Krulek ships while losing only 3 of their own. The Krulek's commander, War Master Gorthak, was furious. He had been fighting for 30 years and had never faced anything like this. "How are they doing this?" he demanded from his flagship bridge. His tactical officer, a scarred veteran named Vexthal, studied the battle reports. "Sir, they're not fighting like any species we've encountered. They're using unconventional tactics. Hit-and-run attacks, ambushes, coordinated strikes from multiple angles. All species use those tactics," Gorthak snarled. "Not like this, sir. They're creative. They're using the asteroid field as cover, they're bouncing signals off the planet's moons to confuse our sensors, and they're targeting our weak points with surgical precision." Gorthak watched as another of his ships exploded. The humans had somehow gotten behind his battle line again. "Sir," Vexthal continued, "I've been analyzing their attack patterns. They're not just random. They're learning. Each attack is more effective than the last." "Learning? They're studying us, sir. How we move, how we react, where our weaknesses are. And they're adapting in real time." Gorthak had heard stories about Deathworlders, but he had never believed them. Now he was starting to understand. These humans had evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day. They had learned to be survivors, to adapt, to overcome impossible odds. "All ships, form a defensive sphere," he ordered. "We'll make them come to us." But the humans didn't come. Instead, they did something even more unsettling. They stopped attacking and just waited. "What are they doing?" Gorthak wondered. The answer came an hour later. A new group of ships appeared, not human ships, but Zephyrian vessels. The peaceful aliens had somehow been convinced to join the fight. "Impossible," Gorthak breathed. "The Zephyrians are pacifists. They don't fight." He was right. The Zephyrians weren't fighting. They were doing something else entirely. General Hayes smiled as she watched the Zephyrian ships take position. She had spent hours talking with Zenkaler, learning about their technology and their capabilities. "You're sure about this?" she asked over the communication channel. Zenkaler's voice was steady. "We may be pacifists, General, but we are not helpless. We have been developing defensive technologies for centuries. We have never used them in war because we never wanted to fight. But you have shown us that sometimes fighting is necessary to protect the innocent." The Zephyrian ships were strange-looking vessels, smooth and organic in design. They didn't look like warships at all, which was exactly what Hayes was counting on. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered her fleet. The human ships suddenly burst from the asteroid field, attacking the Krulek's formation from all sides. But this time, they weren't trying to destroy the enemy ships. They were hurting them. The Krulek's fleet found itself being pushed together, compressed into a tight formation. Gorthak realized what was happening too late. "They're trying to bunch us up," he shouted. "All ships, break formation." But the humans were relentless. Every time a Krulek's ship tried to break away, it was met with a barrage of fire that forced it back into the group. "Now," Hayes said quietly. The Zephyrian ships opened fire. But they weren't using weapons. They were using something much more sophisticated, a gravitational field generator. The space around the Krulek's fleet suddenly twisted. Gravity went wild, pulling the enemy ships together like a giant invisible hand. The massive warships crashed into each other, their hulls buckling under the gravitational stress. "What is this?" Gortak screamed as his flagship was pulled sideways into another ship. "This is what happens when you threaten a Deathworld's allies," Hayes replied over the communication channel. In minutes, the entire Krulek's fleet was trapped in a gravitational knot, their ships crushed together and unable to move. Most were severely damaged. Many were completely destroyed. "Impossible," Gortak whispered. "We are the Krulek's empire. We have conquered 17 worlds. We cannot be defeated by 50 ships and a bunch of pacifists." "You're not being defeated by 50 ships," Hayes said. "You're being defeated by an idea." "What idea?" "The idea that bullies should be stopped. The battle should have been over, but Warmaster Gortak had one more card to play. As his fleet struggled in the gravitational trap, he activated his secret weapon, a planet-killer bomb. "If we cannot have this world," he broadcast to all ships, "then no one can. I have activated a quantum singularity bomb. In 30 minutes, it will destroy this entire solar system." General Hayes felt ice in her veins. "Can you stop it?" she asked Zenkaler. "No," the Zephyrian leader replied sadly. "That technology is beyond us. The bomb is on his flagship, and it's protected by quantum shields. We cannot reach it." Hayes looked at her tactical display. The Krulek's flagship was in the center of the gravitational trap, surrounded by other enemy ships. There was no way to get to it without going through the entire fleet. "General," Captain Park said quietly, "we could ram it." Hayes considered the option. A suicide run might work, but it would mean sacrificing her ship and crew. "Ma'am," came a voice from the communication station. "We're receiving a transmission from the ESV Reaper. Captain Morrison is requesting permission to speak with you." Hayes knew Jack Morrison. He was a good captain, but he was also a hothead who had lost his family to alien raiders 5 years ago. "Put him through," she said. Morrison's voice came through the speakers, calm and determined. "General, my ship took heavy damage in the first attack. Our engines are failing and we're venting atmosphere. We're not going to make it home anyway. Captain, I'm ordering you to return to Earth for repairs." "With respect, ma'am, I'm not going to do that. My crew and I have talked it over. We're going to take out that bomb." Hayes felt a chill. "Morrison, that's suicide." "Yes, ma'am, it is. But that's what we signed up for when we joined the Space Defense Force. To protect Earth and her allies." Hayes looked around her bridge. Her crew was watching her, waiting for her decision. She knew that if she ordered Morrison to stand down, he would obey. But she also knew that 30 minutes wasn't enough time to find another solution. "Jack," she said softly, "are you sure about this?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life, General. These Kruleks think they can threaten innocent people and get away with it. They need to learn that there are consequences." Hayes closed her eyes. When she opened them, her voice was steel. "Permission granted, Captain. Make it count." The ESV Reaper broke away from the human fleet and headed straight for the Krulek's flagship. The ship was heavily damaged, trailing fire and debris, but it flew true. Captain Morrison opened a channel to all ships in the area. "This is Captain Jack Morrison of the ESV Reaper. I want everyone to know that my crew and I are proud to serve alongside you. We're proud to stand with our Zephyrian allies, and we're proud to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten the innocent." The Kruleks tried to shoot down the Reaper, but their ships were too tangled up in the gravitational trap. They could only watch as the human ship approached. "Tell Earth," Morrison continued. "Tell them that we did our duty. Tell them that we showed the galaxy that humans don't abandon their friends." Warmaster Gortak watched the approaching ship with growing horror. "What are they doing? They're going to die." "That's the point," Morrison replied over the communication channel. "You see, Gortak, you made a mistake. You thought you could threaten innocent people and walk away. But you forgot something important about Deathworlders." "What?" "We're not afraid to die for what we believe in." The Reaper slammed into the Krulek's flagship at full speed. The explosion was enormous, a brilliant flash of light that could be seen from the planet's surface. When the light faded, both ships were gone. More importantly, the quantum bomb was gone too. A cheer went up from the human fleet, but General Hayes felt no joy. She had just lost a good ship and a brave crew. "General," Zenkaler's voice came over the communication channel. "We will remember their sacrifice. We will build a monument to Captain Morrison and his crew. The galaxy will know what they did here." Hayes nodded, though she knew the Zephyrian couldn't see her. "Thank you." They would have liked that. With their flagship destroyed and their fleet trapped, the remaining Kruleks had no choice but to surrender. General Hayes accepted their surrender, but she wasn't done with them yet. "You're going to answer for your crimes," she told the surviving Kruleks commanders. "Every world you've destroyed, every innocent life you've taken, the galaxy is going to know about it." The new Kruleks commander, a younger officer named Kexval, looked confused. "You're not going to execute us?" "No, we're going to do something worse. We're going to make you face justice." Hayes had the Kruleks prisoners transported to a neutral space station where they would be tried for their crimes. But first, she wanted to send a message to the rest of the galaxy. She opened a wideband communication channel that would reach every inhabited system within 100 light-years. "This is General Patricia Hayes of the Earth Space Defense Force. Today, the Kruleks Empire attacked the peaceful world of Zephyr. They came with 300 ships. They came to conquer, to destroy, to enslave innocent people." She paused, looking at the debris field where the battle had been fought. "The Kruleks are defeated. Their fleet is destroyed. Their leaders are captured. And I want everyone listening to understand something very important. Earth protects its allies. We don't care how big your fleet is. We don't care how advanced your technology is. If you threaten innocent people, you will answer to us." The message spread across the galaxy at light speed. Within days, every major civilization had heard about the Battle of Zephyr. 3 months after the battle, General Hayes returned to Zephyr for the dedication of the Morrison Memorial. The monument was beautiful, a crystal spire that reached toward the stars, with the names of all the crew members who had died aboard the Reaper. Zenkaler spoke at the ceremony. "The crew of the ESV Reaper showed us that sometimes the greatest act of love is the willingness to sacrifice for others. They died so that we might live. We will never forget their gift." After the ceremony, Hayes walked with Zenkaler through the Zephyrian capital. The city was beautiful, all flowing lines and harmony. But now it also had something new, a Defense Force headquarters. "You're really going to learn to fight?" Hayes asked. Zenkaler nodded. "We are peaceful by nature, but we have learned that peace must sometimes be defended. We will train with your people. We will learn to protect ourselves and others." Hayes smiled. "The galaxy is going to be a safer place with you watching over it. We have also been in contact with other peaceful species," Zenkaler continued. "The Helix Collective, the Symphonic Worlds, the Crystal Gardens, they all want to form an alliance. They want to learn from Earth's example." "What example is that?" "That strength is not about being the biggest or the most powerful. True strength is about standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult." Hayes looked up at the stars. She knew that somewhere out there, other bullies were watching. Other would-be conquerors were thinking twice about their plans. "You know," she said, "I think Captain Morrison would have liked that." 6 months after the Battle of Zephyr, the galaxy was a different place. The story of 50 human ships defeating a massive Kruleks fleet had spread to every corner of known space. Dr. Sarah Chun, the scientist who had first received the Zephyrian distress call, was now working at the newly established Intergalactic Communication Hub. Her job was to monitor transmissions from across the galaxy, and what she was hearing amazed her. "Marcus, you need to listen to this," she called to her supervisor. The message was from the Andromeda Galaxy, where several peaceful species had been under threat from other aggressive empires. "This is the Harmony Coalition of Andromeda," the message said. "We have heard about the Battle of Zephyr. We know that Earth stands with peaceful species against those who would oppress them. We formally request membership in the Galactic Peace Alliance." Dr. Webb whistled softly. "How many requests like this have we received?" 47 in the last month," Sarah replied. Species from all over the galaxy want to join the Alliance. They're tired of being bullied by warrior races. The Galactic Peace Alliance had been formed just 3 months after the battle. It was a defensive pact between Earth, Zephyr, and 12 other peaceful species. The idea was simple. If any member was attacked, all members would come to their aid. What surprised everyone was how quickly the alliance grew. Within 6 months, it had over 100 members. It's not just about military protection, Dr. Webb observed. These species are sharing technology, knowledge, culture. They're building something bigger than just a defense pact. Sarah nodded. The Zephyrians are sharing their medical technology. The Crystal Gardens are teaching us about sustainable energy. The Symphonic Worlds are sharing their art and music. It's like the whole galaxy is waking up. The trial of the Krullex war criminals was held on Unity Station, a massive space station that had been built specifically for intergalactic justice. Representatives from dozens of species came to witness the proceedings. General Hayes testified about the Battle of Zephyr. She told the court about the Krullex threats, their attack on innocent civilians, and their attempt to destroy an entire solar system. The Krullex Empire claimed they were bringing order to the galaxy, she said. But what they really brought was fear, suffering, and death. They destroyed 17 civilizations. They enslaved millions of innocent beings. They turned conquest into an art form. The evidence was overwhelming. The Krullex had kept detailed records of their conquests, almost as if they were proud of their crimes. The court heard testimony from survivors of worlds the Krullex had destroyed. One witness, an elderly being from the Shimmer Nebula, spoke with a voice full of pain. They came to our world with promises of peace. They said we could join their empire and be protected. When we refused, they killed half our population and enslaved the rest. They turned our children into soldiers and our elders into servants. The trial lasted 3 months. In the end, the Krullex leaders were found guilty of genocide, crimes against sentient beings, and violations of galactic law. But the punishment surprised everyone. Instead of execution or life imprisonment, the court sentenced the Krullex to serve the species they had wronged. They would spend the rest of their lives helping to rebuild the worlds they had destroyed. Justice is not about revenge, the chief judge explained. It's about making things right. The Krullex will spend their lives trying to undo the damage they caused. Kexvol, the surviving Krullex commander, looked at Hayes after the sentencing. I don't understand you humans. We attacked you. We tried to destroy your allies. Why show mercy? Hayes looked at him steadily. Because that's what separates us from you. We fight when we have to, but we don't take pleasure in causing suffering. We believe that even the worst beings can be redeemed. 2 years after the Battle of Zephyr, the galaxy was almost unrecognizable. The Galactic Peace Alliance had grown to over 300 members, and trade and cultural exchange flourished between the worlds. General Hayes, now promoted to Alliance Supreme Commander, stood in the observation deck of Unity Station and watched the ships coming and going. Vessels from dozens of species docked at the station every day, bringing goods, people, and ideas. It's beautiful, isn't it? Zenkaler said, joining her at the window. The Zephyrian leader had become one of Hayes' closest friends and advisors. It is, Hayes agreed. I never imagined it would grow this fast. The galaxy was ready for change, Zenkaler observed. It just needed someone to show the way. You humans did that. Hayes shook her head. We all did it. Humans, Zephyrians, everyone who decided to stand up to bullies. They watched as a group of young beings from different species walked past. They were students in the new Interspecies Academy, learning about each other's cultures and technologies. Have you heard from the Krullex lately? Hayes asked. Zenkaler nodded. Kexvol sent a report last month. They've helped rebuild 3 cities on the worlds they destroyed. He says some of his people are actually enjoying the work. People can change, Hayes said. Even warriors can learn to be builders. Speaking of change, Zenkaler said, we've received another interesting transmission. It's from the Magellanic Clouds. Apparently, there's a species there that's been oppressing its neighbors for centuries. The local peaceful species want to know if the Alliance will help them. Hayes smiled. What do you think? I think, Zenkaler said, that bullies everywhere are about to learn a very important lesson about Deathworlders and their friends. 10 years after the Battle of Zephyr, the story had become legend. Children across the galaxy learned about the brave humans who answered an alien cry for help. They learned about Captain Morrison's sacrifice, about the Zephyrian Alliance, and about the birth of the Galactic Peace Alliance. Dr. Sarah Chun, now in her 60s, still worked at the Intergalactic Communication Hub. She often received messages from young beings who had been inspired by the story. One message came from a young Zephyrian named Kalazen. Dr. Chan, I'm graduating from the Interspecies Academy next month. I want to join the Alliance Defense Force. I want to help protect peaceful species like you humans did for us. Another came from a reformed Krulex named Thulkex. I was a soldier in the old empire. I helped destroy worlds. Now I help rebuild them. Thank you for showing us that there's a better way. But the message that moved Sarah the most came from a group of children on a distant world. Dear Earth people, bad aliens came to our world and tried to hurt us. But they went away when they heard that we were friends with the Deathworlders. Thank you for protecting us even though we never met you. Sarah smiled as she read the message. The galaxy had indeed become a safer place, not through conquest or domination, but through the simple idea that peaceful beings should stand together against those who would harm them. The legend of the Battle of Zephyr would live on, inspiring new generations to stand up for what's right, to protect the innocent, and to show that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from the willingness to fight, but from the willingness to help others. In the end, that's what made humans special. Not their technology, not their weapons, but their heart. They were Deathworlders, yes, tough, resilient, and dangerous when threatened. But they were also protectors, friends, and allies. And across the galaxy, whenever peaceful beings faced threats from bullies and conquerors, they knew they had friends who would answer their call for help. The Deathworlders of Earth had shown the galaxy that fury, when directed at injustice, could be the most powerful force for good in the universe.